If you have never heard the name Plato's cave before, then you are probably living under a rock far away in the Deutsch Ocean. This interesting philosophical perspective helps us to understand the true form of our reality. What exactly is Plato's cave? How does one escape it? Stick around to find out. Before we continue, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a chapter of our historical escapades, or dialogues of Plato. Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher who lived around 400 BC, left us with writings that have held up for over 2,500 years and still get attention today. He wrote about 36 books or dialogues, and most of them are like chats between him and Socrates, another thinker. Socrates used to walk around Athens just talking to people and trying to get them thinking. Plato's talks cover all sorts of stuff like ethics, politics, math, and even how the world works and how our minds work. His most famous work, written around 300 BC, is The Republic. In The Republic, Socrates has conversations about all kinds of things with different Athenians and foreigners visiting Athens. The big ideas in the book are about what fairness really means and whether a person who's fair is happier than someone who's not. Through Socrates, Plato comes up with a bunch of made-up cities, and the last one is a perfect place ruled by a super smart philosopher king. Yet within the pages of The Republic, there's a highly discussed section known as the Allegory of the Cave. Plato weaves a tale about prisoners confined in a cave, their journey towards enlightenment symbolized by sunlight and true knowledge. This timeless allegory has fueled discussions among generations of students and scholars, and it's likely to continue doing so for generations to come. Before we move ahead, it's important to clarify what an allegory is. An allegory is a form of literature with a concealed meaning, often used to convey a moral or lesson. Socrates and Plato. In many of Plato's dialogues, you'll find Socrates taking the spotlight. It's interesting because Socrates met an untimely end when Plato was still a young buck. Most experts think that Socrates' voice in Plato's works is basically Plato's way of spicing things up. The line between Socrates' teachings and Plato's own ideas gets kind of blurry. Now, head over to Book 7 of The Republic, which is like Plato's heavyweight champion of books. In this one, Socrates is at it again, having a thoughtful chat with Plato's older brother Glaucon. Plato, once more, donning his Socrates cape, lays it out from the get-go that education is front and center. He sets the stage by describing these cave-dwelling prisoners and how education plays a big role in their story. He tells Glaucon, "Next," I said, "compare the effect of education and the lack of it upon our human nature to a situation like this. Imagine to be living in an underground cave-like dwelling place, which has a way up to the light along its whole width, but the entrance is a long way up. The men have been there from childhood, with their necks and legs in constraint, so that they remain in the same place and can only see ahead of them, as their bonds prevent them from turning their heads. Light is provided by a fire burning some way behind and above them. Between the fire and the prisoners, some way behind them and on higher ground, there is a path across the cave, and along this, a low wall has been built, like the screen at a puppet show in front of the performers who show their puppets about it." Glaucon responds, "I see it. Limited reality." Socrates proceeds to elaborate on the situation to his companion Glaucon. He describes men who are moving along a wall situated behind the prisoners, carrying a variety of objects. These objects range from statues of humans to reproductions of animals, all crafted from materials like stone or wood and designed in diverse ways. Well, now, some of these guys are chatting away as they walk back and forth behind the wall, while others are keeping it quiet. So what's going on behind the statue show? There's a big blazing fire throwing the shadows of these statues onto the cave wall right in front of the prisoners. So all the prisoners can see are these shadowy figures on the wall, and they can only hear the voices of the guys moving the stuff. That's the whole deal for them. Socrates and Glaucon start brainstorming about how these chained-up prisoners spend their days, stuck in chains and staring at those wall shadows. Socrates says to him, "If they could converse with one another, do you not think that they would consider these shadows to be the real things?" Glaucon answers, "Necessarily." Socrates and Glaucon both think that the prisoners should just believe that the truth is basically just the shadows of things made by people. This may all sound confusing, but breaking it down a little bit more would point us in the right direction. Think about the cave allegory. It's like saying most regular folks have minds stuck in a cave, just watching shadows dance on the wall. Now, think of today's version. People who only see what's dished out by their favorite media. It's like those big shots in media, ads, politics, and religion are the ones running the show in the cave. They decide what the prisoners, who we can call regular people in this analogy, get to think, see, and read. What it means in the real world when one of the prisoners gets set free from their chains. Kind of like when they start questioning things and wanting to know more about the world, they suddenly realize that what they thought was real are just shadows or pictures of stuff. So, they start this challenging journey out of the cave and see the fire and the captors, and things start making more sense to them. Getting out of the cave is like getting back the secrets of the forms, which Plato thinks everyone already has deep down. Today, it's sort of like when someone starts asking questions about what they're told and really wants to figure out what's really going on. Once the prisoner who's been set free gets to the cave's entrance and sees the sun, the child of the good, they begin to see the world in terms of forms and ideas, using their brain instead of just relying on their senses. Socrates compares this prisoner to a philosopher, someone who's all about understanding the higher truths about reality. That sun stands for the form of the good, like the top-tier form of everything. In more modern words, people who are searching for the sun and trying to understand things are really digging into how different events are connected instead of just taking things at face value. A bunch of people not only feel okay not knowing stuff, but also push back against anyone who tries to tell them otherwise. Other prisoners. The people who decide to stick around in the cave are like those who aren't really looking to figure out the deeper side of life. They're cool with things the way they are. Change isn't their thing, and they don't really mind accepting whatever beliefs are handed to them. According to Plato, these stay-put types wouldn't hesitate to get rid of anyone trying to drag them out of their cave. This story is one of those ancient gems in philosophy that have stuck around for ages. Getting into it could seriously shift how you think about writing screenplays. Plato's Allegory of the Cave shows how characters can bust out of their mental darkrooms by opening up to new ideas and having the guts to give them a shot. Once out of the cave, the prisoner who's been set free feels pretty mad and bothered at first because the sunlight blinds them and makes their eyes hurt. But after a while, their eyes get used to it, and they start seeing the world as if it really is a whole new deal. Now, if this person tries to go back into the cave to help the other prisoners escape, it's not going to work out. Their eyes got used to the sunlight. So going back into that dark cave would be like trying to see in pitch-black nighttime with sunglasses on. The secret measures. Plato's cave story is all about shaking off ignorance. Think about it. What's real is kind of like what we make up. Our world is only as big as what we can dream up. The whole cave idea is really about wrestling with ourselves. When we're open to new ideas and different ways of thinking, our world gets bigger. But if we stay stuck, going back to the old ways ain't so easy anymore. Examples of Plato's allegory. You can totally spot the whole Plato's allegory of the cave idea in today's movies. Do you remember when the main characters suddenly getting that they're stuck in their own little worlds? Think of movies like The Matrix and The Truman Show. They are perfect examples of this stuff. The Matrix. The Matrix throws this idea our way. What if everything we're living is basically just a simulation, you know? Then there's this main dude, Neo, and he's got this choice to make. Gulp down the blue pill and ditch all those crazy thoughts he's been having about reality, or go for the red pill and dive into the real deal. So, after Neo goes for that red pill, he wakes up in this goo-filled pod and figures out that humans are all chilled out with a fake version of life, all just to keep them chill and easy for these computer overlords who've totally taken over. Yeah, that's like staying clueless. But that red one? That's like opening your eyes to the hardcore truth, even if it's a tough pill to swallow, kind of like that cave dude dragged into the real world. The allegory of Plato's cave is the perfect way to understand just how much of what we know is an illusion. It shows you how characters can break out of their mental dark rooms by opening up to new ideas and having the guts to give them a shot. Do you think you'll be able to break out of the cave if you were one of the prisoners? Tell us in the comment below. Also, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel to see more videos like this. Bye for now.